Have you suffered betrayal or going through any form of rejection or disappointment right now? The Bible talks about a man in Genesis, the 50th chapter, the 15th verse. It says, when Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, "What if Joseph holds a grudge against us and pays us back for all the wrongs we did to him?" So they sent word to Joseph saying, "Your father left these instructions before he died. This is what you are to say to Joseph. I ask you to forgive your brothers their sins and the wrongs they committed in treating you so badly. Now, please forgive the sins of thy servants of the God of your father." When their message came to him, Joseph wept. His brothers then came and threw themselves down before him. "We are your slaves," they said. But Joseph said to them, "Don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. So then, don't be afraid. I'll provide you and for your children." And he assured them and spoke kindly to them. Have you been unfairly terminated from that job, treated and betrayed by co-workers or employers, falsely accused of something you know nothing about? You are devastated because of a betrayal of a trusted friend. You were deceived into commitment. Joseph experienced betrayal on several occasions. His own brothers betrayed him because of the father's love. No one, with the exception of yourself, can bring your divine purpose to a premature end. Joseph's brothers had the intention of destroying him along with his dreams, saying, "Come, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. Then we will see what becomes of all his dreams." But God prevented them from doing this evil, and they sold him as a slave. As long as you keep believing and don't pull the plug on your dream, you will witness its fulfillment and nothing will be able to stand in your way. In fact, God will use the very people and things that try to deter you to lead you toward the fulfillment of that dream. He turned Joseph's brutal betrayal around to allow him go into Egypt, where he would eventually see his dreams come true. The harsh reality of life can sometimes knock us down, but the life of Joseph demonstrates God's ability to transform undeserved adversities into a positive result. God, my friend, is in control when you think your world is out of control. You may be hard pressed on every side, but you will not be crushed. Perplexed, but you will not be in despair. Persecuted, but God will not abandon you. You may be struck down, but you won't be destroyed. No matter what you are going through, God will still have the final say. Allow the devil to manipulate and orchestrate his schemes against you. Let him give his best shot. Let him do his worst. God will give his best at the end, and it will override whatever damage the enemy has caused. My friend, God is the author of the script. The devil may participate in the drama. The devil may mess things up, but God is the author and the finisher of our faith. And at the end of the story, He will edit it according to what suits His purpose concerning you. God, my friend, is actively involved. It doesn't matter what role the enemy play. God is the editor and the chief director. You see, you've been through some situations that didn't make sense. The injustice you suffered, the embarrassment you went through, they may not have made sense. But don't misdiagnose what God is doing. But I want you to understand that in all things, God is going to make all things work together for the good of them that love God, which are called according to His purpose. Like David said, "Though my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will receive me. Even if my father and mother abandon me, the Lord will hold me close." Yes, they hurt you. Yes, the pain lingered. Yes, you were betrayed and abandoned. Yes, but I know that though weeping may endure for a night, joy, my friend, will suddenly show up in the morning. They thought you will die, but you shall not die. You shall live and declare the goodness of God. You shall live to testify about it. God will put every detail of the challenges together and let it work for your good. They thought you can't recover and would be down to the core. What they never knew was that they intended it for evil, but God meant it for your good. My friend, you see, God's purpose will always prevail in spite of your pain. And let me tell you that maybe you have prayed desperately that God would change the circumstances that was putting you under enormous pressure, and you got no response. Well, Joseph felt the same way when he was sold off by his brothers. As the Ishmaelites carried him away, you can be sure he prayed and hoped that God would somehow save him and restore him to his father. He, however, did not get what he so desperately wanted. One thing for sure, for many years. In the same way, we at times pray that certain circumstances are removed, but those circumstances may be the stepping stones towards our dream. God will not grant our requests, and we will have to trust him and believe that he knows what is best for us. If God had answered Joseph's prayer, he would have saved him a lot of pain, but he would have also stopped him from the many gains that he was going to experience in Egypt, and would have ended the route to his destiny. So, if you find yourself in certain circumstances that are uncomfortable but still prevail in spite of your many prayers, maybe it is best that you remain there for a season. Just trust God. God, my friend, will always arrange for people to lead you to your promised land. While Joseph was in the prison, God arranged for the cupbearer and the baker to join him in there. He also arranged for both of them to have dreams, which Joseph would interpret. It would ultimately lead to the fulfillment of his own dreams. It may not be so straightforward in our lives, but there will always be people God uses to enable us advance towards our promise. That said, if we try to fast track our promotion, we will certainly fail. Joseph tried to find his way out of the prison by telling the cupbearer to make mention of him to Pharaoh so that he might be released to get presidential pardon. But the cupbearer promised to do so, but once he was out of the prison, he forgot all about Joseph. When it was the right time, God gave Pharaoh a dream, and the cupbearer was forced to recommend Joseph as a way to protect himself. Promotion belongs to God. We should not try to go ahead of him. It is not uncommon for God to allow circumstances to get so bad that it seems like all is lost and the dream cannot be fulfilled any longer. If you've discovered your divine purpose, then never give up on it. God, my friend, allowed Abraham reach the age of 100 years. You won't have to get so old, don't worry. Then his promise arrived in the form of Isaac at the right time, the son of his longed life. At times, God will make it look impossible that he may make a strong testimony out of your life. When Joseph was in prison and had been forgotten by the cupbearer, he must have wondered about the dreams. How does a slave who is locked up in prison ever become a great leader? Well, the answer is in another question. Is there anything too hard for God? The Bible asks this question in Jeremiah, the 32nd chapter, the 27th verse. He is not limited by anything that exists. So there is indeed nothing impossible for him. But we have to adjust our minds to believe. If he promised, he will certainly do it. As Joseph worked as a slave day in and day out, month after month, year after year, he wondered if he would ever see his family again, let alone the fulfillment of God's promise for his life. But I want to encourage you, brother. I want to encourage you, sister, that you can't reach your destination without some form of opposition, betrayal, or persecution. If all men loved Jesus, salvation would have been forfeited. If Judas, like all the other disciples, loved Jesus, he wouldn't have gone to the cross. Though it feels like the cross was painful, but that is where the redemption flows from. Closed doors, attacks, disappointments get us stirred up for greater responsibilities into our purpose. Sometimes, like Joseph, you got to be sold and rejected, even by your kindred, in order for you to get to your destiny. If he wasn't sold in Egypt, if he wasn't falsely accused by Potiphar's wife with sexual harassment and thrown into prison, he wouldn't have met the butler to interpret his dreams in order to be connected to Pharaoh, in order to become the prime minister. Think of David, who was neglected in the wilderness even as a youngest child, but those things prepared him for service and for battle. Dear friend, Don't complain when things look bad. Instead, thank God and believe Him that all will serve His good purpose for your life. Sometimes, the things you may be going through today may not be because of a bad thing you've done or have anything to do with your own doing. It is simply preparing you for the future. God knows how to take you through many things, accomplish His purpose for you. Stay encouraged and know that all things shall turn together for your good, no matter what it's like. The Lord bless you.